What is up, guys? This is LaserBolt with a Elden Ring video. Today we're going to be talking about stats. I'm going to be explaining and breaking down every single stat in the game because I believe if you understand how the stats work, it's going to make your life easier on what type of class you want to build, what type of playstyle you want to have, and the better you understand it, the more you know where to spend points. So if all of this sounds like something you're definitely interested, a like would be really appreciated. It does help us out with the algorithm, and don't forget to subscribe for more Elden Ring content. So why are stats important in the game? Well, stats are going to determine your playstyle. There are a couple of stats that we're going to be going over. We're going to talk about vigor, mind, endurance, strength, dexterity, intelligence, faith, and arcane. And all of these stats will determine on your playstyle and also going to be factoring in which character you pick due to the fact that some characters will come with different higher stats that you're going to probably not need to invest too many on that particular stats, but you will need to invest on the ones you want. Now, I will have a separate video coming out tomorrow or later today on what is the best class to pick in Elden Ring. So, with that being said, let's jump in and talk about the stats. Now, if you guys do come from playing any type of Souls-style type game, I know some of you guys might automatically go with you prefer to max out strength and attributes in order to become the ultimate glass cannon. However, this is going to be a little bit more balanced. Now, let's start off with the first stat, which we're going to be talking about, and that stat is vigor. Now, vigor is going to be primarily tied into your health. Now, all these stats we're going to be mentioning also have some passive stats that help it out as well. So if you guys pretty much want to make sure you live longer, of course, you're going to be wanting to make sure you spend a lot of points on vigor. Even though you'll probably still be dying, it's just going to take a little bit longer for your death to come. Now, on top of vigor giving you health, it's also going to contribute to your fire and poison immunity. So how much absorption you're able to intake from the fire and poison, which makes it pretty cool because not only are you contributing to your health, but you're also contributing to the immunity you have for certain elements. Alright, so the next one we're going to be talking about, guys, is mind. Now, mind is going to allow you to have more focus points. Focus points pretty much determines how much magic you're able to do, right? So if you like to be a mage character, then definitely you're going to want to invest in mind. Now, focus points are only obtained in a certain manner. Now, I'll have a separate video talking about focus points, why they're important, and how you actually get them and increase them, but that would be for a different video. But overall, it's just going to determine how much focus points you have, and it also is going to tell you how much resistance you are allowed to have in conditions like sleep and madness. Alright, so next up we have endurance, which I think is going to be one of the most fundamental ones that a lot of people are going to want to have, because endurance in Elden Ring pretty much reflects your stamina. But not only that, that's why it makes it a little bit important. So your stamina is going to allow you to pull off a little bit more attacks, do a little bit more dodges before getting tired. However, it also is going to contribute to your overall physical defense, which is going to allow you to negate a little bit more damage. Now, where endurance gets a little bit interesting is that it's extremely important because it also increases your robustness, giving you resistance against hemorrhage and frostbites. It's also going to increase a stat, which is like a silent stat that a lot of people might not know, which is going to allow you to carry more equipment and give you a higher capacity of how much equipment you're able to carry. So endurance is really important because if you want to carry a lot of stuff in your bag, you're going to want to make sure you level up endurance as well. The next one, guys, is strength. Now, a lot of people might consider going the strength route and being kind of like that tank. The thing with strength, guys, is that it's going to be very interesting the way you actually approach it because it's going to be very factorial on the type of weapon you're using and the character you're using. Now, strength in Elden Ring will allow you to deal more damage with strength-based weapons. Keep that in mind. It has to be strength-based weapons. It's also a necessary stat to wield heavy armaments. Now, here's where it becomes really important. If a weapon scales with STR's attributes, you're going to be dealing more damage with it the higher your strength is. Now, keep in mind, if you want to only focus on STR attributes and two-handed weapons, then strength is going to be a very important stat for you guys because those weapons will scale up on how much damage they do based on how much strength you have. So do keep that in mind, and it's going to be very important how many points you want to put into strength, because if you're not using two-handed weapons and aren't using STR attribute weapons, then you're not going to want to invest too much in strength. But if your plan is to go two-handed weapons, be very tanky, strength is definitely a very important stat. Alright, for those of you who like to play an assassin class, or those of you who like to be very fast and mobile, our next stat is definitely going to be one that you want to prioritize, and that is dexterity. Now, dexterity is excellent, guys. Once again, if you want to be a ninja, you want to move fast for those light builds, it's going to focus primarily on your speed and movement. Now, it's very interesting because this actually focuses on other passive stats as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind, guys, is that the dexterity stat is required to wield advanced armaments and boost the power of weapons that scale up with dexterity. So if you're wanting to use advanced armaments, which I'll have a video going over all that, then you're going to want to make sure you increase your dexterity. Now, on top of that, dexterity will also allow you to reduce your spell casting time, which is another interesting way of putting it as well, because if you do want to play mage, you want to make sure you invest in dexterity as well, because that's going to reduce the spell casting time and even decrease the amount of fall damage you take. So in case you're jumping or falling, then it's going to reduce that if you increase your dexterity. Now, one thing that makes this interesting as well is that dexterity will also help you with how much damage you get if you get knocked off on a horse. I know it's something that we don't really think about, of the damage you take off when you get knocked down from a horse, but dexterity actually will help with that as well. So if you're a mage character or you're an assassin character and you like to be mobile and fast, there's definitely a stat you have to consider. All right, so now for all of you guys who like intelligence. Now, intelligence, guys, is pretty much going to be an extreme requirement for anyone who wants to go Guildstone sorcery and boost the power of intelligence, which actually scales with spells that you cast. So if you think you're going to be doing a lot of spell casting and you think you're going to be doing a lot of maging and sorcery stuff, then this is the one you really want to invest in. It's going to be important too as well which character you pick. So remember, guys, I'll have a video going over that pretty soon as well. So you're going to want to make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications so you guys won't miss it when that video goes live. Now, even more than that, guys, intelligence will help you improve your resistance to enemy magic. So if you guys are fighting someone that does a lot of magic attacks, intelligence will actually negate that and help you stay alive longer with your higher intelligence stat, because it's also going to stop whatever cast people are doing for you guys. The next stat, guys, is faith. Now, faith is actually very similar to intelligence, and I think it's going to be one of those stats that people are not going to know too much of. But when it comes down to doing stuff like incantations, faith is going to be extremely important, because faith is going to be required to perform sacred incantations. So if you're planning to do a lot of incantations within the game, you're going to need faith in order to do that. Now, it's also going to boost the power of incantations that scale with FAI, which is pretty much faith. Incantations include Elden Ring's powerful dragon transformation. Now, if you don't know what that is, you're definitely going to want to check out my video where I'm going to cover that and explain how you actually do it, where you get it, and how to maximize the most out of it. Now, apart from that, it also is going to help you with several healing and support abilities. So if you guys are trying to go to the Fate route, it's going to be a stat that might be a little bit overlooked. Now, once you get into the end game, this stat will become very important because you will be doing a lot of incantations in the game. So faith is might not be so much of an important starter stat, but it will be an end game stat nonetheless. All right, so now into our final stat, which is Arcane. Now, Arcane is very similar. If you guys ever played any Dark Souls game, or From Software games, you're going to know that they had a stat called Luck. That's pretty much what Arcane is. Not only will it help you find more items, but it's also going to increase your resistance to instant-death abilities. So it's going to be important, especially for you guys who love to 100% the game, that you definitely invest a little bit in Arcane, because it's going to be able to find those very hard-to-find items, and it's also going to give you that resistance to instant-death. Now, some weapons will scale with Arcane, which is ARC, and certain sorceries and incantations will also be affected by this attribute. So it is a very important stat, not extremely prioritized stat, but it's definitely a good stat to keep, especially if you're a mage character, or depending on what class you pick, you might not need to invest too much on Arcane, because that stat already comes within the character. But now that you guys know what each stat does, it's time to know which character you need to pick to better your odds, or what's the best starting character. We're going to have you guys covered with those type of videos here on the channel, so make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, but most importantly, drop a like to help us out with the algorithm. I hope you guys are enjoying our coverage. You are, guys. Make sure you keep it locked here, and I will catch you guys on the next video.